हेलो एवरीवन, हमारे चैनल सिंपल क्लासेस में आप सबका स्वागत है। यूर ऑल वेलकम टू आवर चैनल एंड दिस वीडियो। आज की इस वीडियो में हम क्लास 6th एनसीईआरटी का 9th चैप्टर कवर करेंगे, विच इज द लिविंग ऑर्गेनिजम्स, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स एंड हैबिटेट्स. Friends, this video is part of our complete course on NCERTs, which are very important to cover. अगर आप UPSC, State PCS such as UPPSC, RAS, MPPSC, etc. इनमें से किसी भी एग्जाम की अगर तैयारी कर रहे हैं, it becomes important for you to cover these NCERTs. हमारे चैनल पे आपको NCERTs की बकायदा प्लेलिस्ट भी मिल जाएगी. तो वीडियो स्टार्ट करने के पहले हम क्या कवर करेंगे आज, लेट मी क्विकली टेक यू थ्रू इट. Firstly, we will cover the diversity in plants and animals, how different they are in terms of their body structure, capabilities, etc. Then we will look at how different organisms adapt to their surroundings so as to survive and grow. Further, we will deal with habitats. Habitats क्या होते हैं, कौन कौन से types के होते हैं, उनके क्या components होते हैं, all of that. And finally, we will come to what are the factors that differentiate the living from the non-living, the biotic from the abiotic. And don't worry, इन सारे terms के मतलब आपको clear हो जाएंगे at the end of the video. So friends, important video है, छोटा सा chapter है, लेकिन basics के लिए, basics build करने के लिए ज़रूरी है. So please pay attention, and on this note, let's get started. अब ट्रैवल करना हम सभी को अच्छा लगता है कि नहीं? एंड वन ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट रीजन फॉर दिस इज द डाइवर्सिटी विच वी फाइंड इन डिफरेंट प्लेसेस. सम प्लेसेस आर कोल्ड व्हाइल सम आर हॉट. सम प्लेसेस विटनेस हेवी रेनफॉल, तो कहीं बारिश होती ही नहीं है, राइट? एंड दिस डाइवर्सिटी इज नॉट ओनली लिमिटेड टू द क्लाइमेटिक कंडीशंस ऑफ अ प्लेस. Differences in climate lead to diversity in the kind of plants and animals also that are found in such places. अब उन जगहों पर जहाँ पे ज़्यादा ठंड होती है, वहाँ जो पेड़ पौधे पाए जाते हैं बाकी जगहों से अलग होते हैं. जैसे कि cactus is found in deserts, while in mountains we will see oaks and pine trees. तो basically plants vary from place to place depending on temperature, humidity and other such factors that determine the climate and topography of a place. Now here, topography means the arrangement of the natural and artificial features in an area. Similarly, इसी तरीके से animals also vary from place to place. For example, camel आपको mountains में नहीं दिख सकते. They are always found in deserts, naturally of course. Then there are some animals that can be typically found in cold areas only and not anywhere else. लेकिन ऐसा होता क्यों है? Why camels cannot be found on a beach, for example, or a fish cannot be found in a desert? The answer is they won't be able to survive in such an environment. See, the manner in which any living entity or organism develops is dependent on its surroundings, the environment in which it is supposed to survive. And in doing so, in order to survive, the living entity develops idiosyncratic and specific characteristics. So, if you will observe any such entity, it will have unique characteristics. We can look at camel itself. इनका जो बॉडी का स्ट्रक्चर होता है, it helps them survive in deserts. For example, their long legs help them stay away from the heat of the sand. अब डेजर्ट में पानी तो होता नहीं है, so in order to cope up with this, they don't even sweat. Their dung is dry and they pass very little urine. So all in all, they minimize the loss of water from the body itself. इसी ability की वजह से they have the capability to survive even without water for a couple of days. On the other hand, if we look at fishes, for example, we find a very different kind of body structure that helps it to survive in water. In the last chapter, we had already discussed the streamlined body shapes of fishes, which help them move swiftly in water. Further, scales on their bodies also help them. ये scales उनकी protection के लिए होते हैं. पानी में ऑक्सीजन मिला हुआ होता है, dissolved होता है. ऑक्सीजन कंज्यूम करने के लिए fishes में gills भी होते हैं. Further, they have fins and tails जो उन्हें direction change करने में help करता है while they are swimming. Also, it helps them in keeping their body in balance. So we just saw how camels and fishes have unique physical characteristics, body structures, which help them in surviving in deserts and water respectively, wherein they are found naturally. इसी को हम adaptation कहते हैं. The presence of specific features or certain habits which enable an organism to live naturally in a place is called adaptation. ये इसकी definition है. Now, organisms adapt depending on their places of dwelling, जहाँ पर वो रहते हैं. So, camels and fishes, as we just discussed, have adapted to their respective places of dwelling where they live naturally. अच्छा, ये जो adaptation होता है, that is long term as well as short term. Now, in this chapter, there is a word mentioned which is quite important to know and understand, and that is acclimatization. Now, this is basically short term adaptation. Let us understand this through an example. आप में से कुछ लोग हाई अल्टीट्यूड वाली जगहों पर घूमने गए होंगे कभी ना कभी, आई बिलीव. अब वहां पर काफी लोगों को ब्रीदिंग प्रॉब्लम होती है क्योंकि ऑक्सीजन का कॉन्सेंट्रेशन कम हो जाता है. दिस हैपन्स बिकॉज इन हाई ऑल्टीट्यूड्स द ऑक्सीजन मॉलिक्यूल्स आर फर्दर अपार्ट फ्रॉम ईच अदर ड्यू टू द लो pressure. Therefore, we have fewer oxygen molecules in the same volume of air as we inhale. But after spending a few days, this problem ceases to exist. लोग adjust कर लेते हैं. आपकी body अपने आप को regulate कर लेती है as per the surrounding. Now, these small changes that take place in the body of a single organism over short periods of time, so as to overcome small problems in the surrounding areas, is known as acclimatization. And more importantly, these changes are different from the ones that take place over longer periods of time, like in 1,000 years. Those changes are evolutionary in nature. Further, this very place where they live is known as their habitat. Habitat simply means a dwelling place, a home. An organism naturally lives in its habitat, जो उसे सारी चीजें प्रोवाइड करता है सर्वाइव करने के लिए, जैसे कि एयर, वाटर, शेल्टर, जो भी रिक्वायर्ड है सर्वाइव करने के लिए. Usually, we find that a lot of plants and animals live in the same habitat. Now let us look at different types of habitats and the terms associated with them. First, we have terrestrial habitats. अब नाम से ही पता चल रहा है कि ये habitats land से related हैं. So plants and animals that live on land are said to be living in terrestrial habitats. Examples of such habitats are deserts, forests, grasslands, mountains, and coastal regions. On the other hand, it is also seen that some plants and animals live in water. Now, such habitats are known as aquatic habitats. Examples are lakes, rivers, and oceans. At this point, it is also important to note that these habitats vary in a big way with each other. For example, forests and mountains, they are both terrestrial habitats. However, factors such as topography, temperature, humidity, etc. vary hugely in these two places. Similarly, the conditions in an ocean are very different from the ones found in a lake, although both are aquatic habitats only. इसी वजह से जो plants and animals पाए जाते हैं इन जगहों पर, उनमें भी काफी differences होते हैं, even though they may all belong to the same kind of habitat. Now, in all these different habitats, चाहे वो terrestrial हो या फिर aquatic हो, there is something that is common, and that is their components, biotic and abiotic components. Irrespective of the type of a habitat, it will always have some biotic and some abiotic components. Now, biotic components are all the organisms that are found in the habitat, all the plants and the animals that are biotic or living components of a habitat. While on the other hand, abiotic components are constituted by the air, rocks, soil, and water. I hope this is clear, and it is needless to say that the nature of interaction of these living and non-living components, these biotic and abiotic components, only make a habitat unique and possible after all. And most importantly, these components are dependent on each other for survival. For example, we as humans and plants are interdependent on each other for our survival. Further, you should also know that this interaction of abiotic and biotic components in a habitat is also what is responsible for the adaptation. Reacting to these abiotic factors only, organisms are able to adapt themselves in order to survive and grow. So both these components, that is abiotic and biotic, are equally critical, and together only they are able to constitute a nurturing habitat. And in this habitat, every organism adapts differently to the abiotic surroundings, which only causes a rich diversity in these organisms. Now let us look at different habitats closely. First of all, we have deserts. अभी हमने camels के बारे में डिस्कस किया था, how they adapt with the hot conditions and lack of water in a desert to survive. There are other animals and plants also that respond to such conditions in their own respective ways so as to survive. For example, desert animals like rats and snakes are there. अब इनकी लंबी टांगें तो होती नहीं है camel की तरह. So in order to stay away from the intense heat, what they do is they stay hidden in the burrows that are deep inside the sand. वो रात को ही बाहर निकलते हैं. अब जो प्लांट्स होते हैं डेजर्ट्स में, उनको भी डील करना पड़ता है पानी की कमी से. सो इन डेजर्ट प्लांट्स यू विल फाइंड दैट लीव्स आर आइदर एब्सेंट, दे आर वेरी स्मॉल, और दे आर इन अ फॉर्म ऑफ स्पाइन्स. इसी की वजह से पानी लॉस नहीं होता फ्रॉम देयर लीव्स. एंड व्हाट इज दिस प्रोसेस कॉल्ड? इट इज कॉल्ड ट्रांसपिरेशन. Now, if you look at a cactus plant, you'll be able to understand how they adapt themselves for coping up with the lack of water. The leaf-like structure that you see is in fact its stem. Photosynthesis in such plants is carried out by the stems only. There is another interesting adaptation. जो स्टेम होती है वो कवर्ड होती है एक थिक वैक्सी लेयर से. ये वाटर को रिटेन करने में हेल्प करता है. Also, the roots in most desert plants go very deep into the soil for absorbing water. So, plants and animals in a desert habitat showcase very interesting adaptations. Now, let us look at those residing in the mountains. Now, obviously, these mountain regions are very cold, windy, and characterized by things such as snowfall, etc. So, the plants and animals found in such regions are also adapting to these new circumstances. Usually, trees in such areas are found to have cone shapes with sloping branches. Their leaves are needle-like. Such structural adaptations help in causing rainwater and snow to slide off easily. Animals in these regions also adapt to survive in different ways. For example, yaks will have long hair while snow leopards will have fur to survive the harsh cold. Then there are mountain goats which have hooves for running up the steep and rocky slopes on the mountains. Now the next habitat are grasslands. And this is the address of the jungle king, that is lions. They stay in either the forests or the grasslands. Another animal that is found in the same habitat is deer. Now, although the habitats, as you can see, for these two animals are the same, yet they are so different from each other. Lions, on one hand, are predators. They kill animals like deer to survive. For this purpose itself, they have long claws in their front legs that can be withdrawn, very interestingly, inside their toes. Now further, the brown color of their skin also helps them to hide in the grasslands. Their eyes are also placed in a manner so that they can locate their prey quite accurately. दूसरी तरफ अगर डियर को देखें तो उनका बॉडी स्ट्रक्चर, फीचर्स, एबिलिटीज बिल्कुल अलग हैं, जबकि वो भी उसी हैबिटेट में रहता है. तो नाउ यू कैन अप्रिशिएट हियर हाउ दे रिएक्ट डिफरेंटली टू देयर सराउंडिंग्स इन ऑर्डर टू सर्वाइव. उनके मजबूत दांत होते हैं ताकि वो आसानी से स्टेम को चबा सकें. दे आर वेजिटेरियंस. नाउ इंटरेस्टिंगली, इफ यू लुक एट देयर ईयर्स, दे आर क्वाइट लॉन्ग देन यूजुअल. इट हेल्प्स देम इन हियरिंग मूवमेंट्स ऑफ द प्रेडेटर्स. सो इन अ वे ये एक सिक्योरिटी फीचर है उनके लिए. Another interesting thing to note is the way their eyes are placed on their faces. Their eyes are placed a little towards the sides of the head. This allows them to see in all directions. Now let us explore some aquatic habitats. We already know that fishes have streamlined bodies which help them in movement inside the water. और भी कई सारे सी animals होते हैं जिनका streamlined body structure होता है, helping them in movement inside the water. However, there are also some animals which do not have streamlined body structures. Examples are octopus, squids, etc. They stay deeper inside the ocean, closer to the bed of the ocean or the bed of the sea, and prey on whatever comes to them. However, once they move, they make their bodies streamlined. Also, like others, they have gills to help them use the oxygen that is dissolved in water. Now, some of you may not know that there are some animals that do not have gills to consume the dissolved oxygen, and you will be surprised to know that dolphins and whales are such animals. So, these do not have gills as such. Then, how do they survive? These animals breathe in air through nostrils or blowholes. These blowholes are located on their heads on the upper parts. This helps them to breathe when they swim near to the surface. Next, we have is ponds and lakes that are much smaller in scale compared to oceans and seas. So we already know that the roots of plants are quite critical for their survival. In addition to being an anchor, they play an indispensable role in the nutrition management in the plants. However, in case of aquatic plants, their role is limited to just being an anchor and holding the plant in place. For this reason only, the roots are much shorter in aquatic plants compared to terrestrial plants. Now let's come to the stems of such aquatic plants. The stems usually are found to be long, hollow and light. The height of the stems is up to the surface of the water only, while the leaves and flowers in such plants are found floating on the water surface. But please note that not all plants are like these. Some of the plants found in such aquatic habitats are completely submerged inside the water. So in such cases, the entire plant is inside the water, and these plants are so diverse. In some cases, they have narrow ribbon-like leaves, while in some other cases, the leaves are often divided so that the water can flow through them without causing them any kind of damage. Further, the animals found in ponds and lakes are also quite unique. For example, frogs are found in ponds. Now they can survive inside and outside of the water as well. Now these frogs have strong legs at the back which help them in the leaping movement to catch prey, and they also have webbed feet which can help them in swimming. Now so far we have covered an overview of the different habitats and the diversity in plants and animals found in those habitats in view of their adaptability. A little while ago we had discussed how every habitat comprises of living and non-living components, that is biotic and abiotic components respectively. So one may wonder that what exactly differentiates a biotic from an abiotic component? What makes living organisms living after all? Now, there is no definite answer to this, but we can examine this question from the point of view of the common characteristics of living organisms. Now, let us discuss these commonalities, these common characteristics one by one. So, the first is the need for food. In the earlier chapters, we have already learned that food is indispensable for survival. उसके बिना हम survive कर नहीं सकते. And not only us, animals and plants also need food. Animals are either herbivorous or carnivorous, and then there are plants which make their own food through photosynthesis. तो एक commonality है which is true for all living organisms. Food provide organisms with the energy they need for growth. This energy is required for sustaining life processes. Another common factor to all living organisms, be it plants or animals, is growth. चाहे हम humans हों, plants हों या फिर animals, सबकी growth होती है. Children grow into adults. A chick hatched from an egg grows into a hen or a cock. We see all little seedlings grow into mature plants, and of course, the magnitude of the growth will vary from case to case. Now, the next feature, which is common to all living organisms, is respiration. It is necessary for all living organisms. It is through respiration only that the body finally is able to get energy, extract energy from the food it consumes. Humans respire, and in doing so, we take in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide. This process of respiration in animals like cows, buffaloes, cats, dogs, etc. is similar to humans. Now, there are also animals in which the mechanism of respiration is quite different. For example, interestingly, in earthworms, they breathe through their skin. Fishes, on the other hand, use their gills to absorb oxygen from the air dissolved in water. Now, in plants also, there is an exchange of gases which is happening, and this happens through leaves. The leaves take in air through tiny pores in them and use the oxygen, and in return they give out carbon dioxide to the air. Further, you should also know that the amount of oxygen released in the process of food preparation by the plants is much more than the oxygen they use in respiration. That is how the balance of oxygen is maintained in the atmosphere. Furthermore, this respiration in plants takes place throughout the day and the night, both. Another common factor to all living organisms is the response to stimuli. First, let us understand what is a stimuli after all. So, changes in our surroundings that makes us respond to them are called stimuli. For example, if you touch a really hot object, you will immediately pull your hands back or yourself away from that object. Similarly, if you suddenly happen to hear an extreme loud noise, you will cover your ears with your hands. So that is your reaction to the stimuli. And this reaction to a stimuli is common to all living organisms. Organisms respond to stimuli. Not only humans, animals also respond to stimuli. It is easy to notice that actually. For example, if you flash a torch towards any animal, they will try to run away. Or you move closer to any animal, they usually tend to get scared and run further away from you. Even plants, for that matter, being living organisms, respond to stimuli. An example is the plant mimosa. It is commonly known as touch me not because they close themselves the moment you touch them. Another example is that flowers only bloom at night. Some months, obviously, not all the flowers. So, in conclusion, living organisms responding to stimuli is also something that sets living and non-living entities apart. Another critical process common to all living organisms is excretion. So all organisms consume food for growth and sustenance, but the food is not completely utilized by the body of the organisms. So some of the food is left and that needs to be removed, and this process itself is known as excretion, which is common to all living organisms. So do plants also excrete? Of course they do. In plants also this function is carried out. However, the mechanism is quite different. Some plants find it possible to store the waste products within their parts in a way that they do not harm the plant as a whole. Some plants remove the waste products as secretions. Excretion is another characteristic common to all organisms. Now next is reproduction. It is one of the most important functions common to living organisms. The mode of reproduction may be different for different animals. Some give birth to young ones while some reproduce through eggs. Plants are also capable of reproduction. Like animals, they also reproduce through different mechanisms. Some plants reproduce through seeds, seeds which germinate and grow into plants. Then there are some other plants that reproduce through parts other than the seeds, such as the stem cuttings, etc. For example, a part of a potato with a bud grows into a new plant itself. Another important characteristic that is common to organisms is movement. In the previous chapters, we learned how humans are capable of movement through uniquely developed bones and joint mechanisms inside our bodies. Animals also have their own characteristic mechanisms for movement. Further, although we find plants anchored to the ground, there is still some movement that can be seen. For example, there is movement of water and nutrients in the plants. Then there are plants responding to stimuli, of course. So organisms collectively can definitely be said to be capable of movement that sets them apart from abiotic components or non-living entities inside a habitat. So these were the commonalities, characteristics that are common to living organisms. And that is it, friends. This is the end of the session. I hope you liked the video, and if you did, please like it, share it, and let us know in the comments below. And do subscribe to our channel Simple Classes. Thank you for your time. Have a good day ahead.